Alright, so welcome back to Tidal Blade's Heroes of the Reef. So for this video, we're going to talk about, just simply, setting the game up a little bit. So to start with, we have this champion board, and if you guys watched the last video, I was talking about the champion board a little bit. You're going to definitely want to, do well in the fighting monsters, and obviously do well in the challenges, so that way you can, increase your prestige basically here, your honor here on the champion board, so that way perhaps you'll be named a Tidal Blades as well, which will be basically a great hero, a great protector of the reef, okay? And there's a lot of things going on with this champion board. There's going to be little tiny, let me get them out here real quick. Hold on. Okay. I'm not going to take them out of the bag because they're tiny anyway. Not right now anyways. But you're going to be putting your character, each character is going to basically get these tiny little things, okay? These markers here. And there's a lot of them for each character. But you're going to put one of these markers on the champion board here to basically, determine where you are on the champion board. And at the end of the first round, whoever's the highest on the champion board is going to get to put another marker right here, and that means they'll get an extra point at the end of the game. So same thing with the second round, and same thing with the third round. So whoever happens to be in the lead in the second round, which could be completely different, they'll get to put their marker there to indicate that they, were the champion of the second round, basically. Of course, in the end, if you're playing with other players, it's going to be who has the most victory points at the end of the game that wins. But still, if you manage to be higher on the champion board, it does mean you'll get extra victory points. If you manage to get all the way up to here, you're getting 10 victory points. Okay, that's a lot. If you get here, you get 8. Here is 6. 4 is here. 2 is here, and 1 is here. So if you're higher up, like if you're here and everyone else is here, you're going to get 6. They're not going to get as many, obviously. But basically, yes, that's how the champion board will work. So now that you've got a close-up view of it, obviously there's also going to be a final scoring too, so whoever happens to be in first place on the champion board is going to get 3 points. Whoever's in second place on the champion board is going to get 2, and whoever's in last place on the champion board, or third place anyways, is going to get 1 point. Now, the reason why I say that, last place, or should I say third place, is even though you can play with 2 people, 1 person, 2 people, even though you can play with just 2 players or 1 player, if you're playing solo, you're not the only one that's going to be on this chart. Your rival, which I guess you can just simply pick who your rival is. There's no real way to choose who you're going to... I guess you could just randomly pick your rival. But you're going to have a rival, and he's going to be on the champion board with you. And so you're obviously going to want to try to beat him, too. Also, you're going to have 2 other characters as well. They're actually going to be trying to help you out. But when they do help you out, they're also going to rise on the champion board. And the last thing you want is for your allies to be higher up on the champion board than you are. That's for sure. So even though you can have some allies help you out, you're not going to want that too much. Want their help too much, because you'll still want to be higher up on the champion board than they are, for sure. But basically, if you're playing solo, you're technically still playing with everybody else, all the other players, technically. They just won't play the same way as you will. You won't be taking out those player boards. So if I'm playing as Cayman and I'm playing solo, for instance, this is the only player board I'll be utilizing. Okay, you won't be utilizing the other player boards if you're playing solo, for instance, okay? Just your own. So, which is perfect for me, because I just don't have enough space. But if you're playing a 2-player game, you're actually not going to just have 2 of you on this champion board. You actually need 3. There's going to be a third person that's also going to be doing stuff as well. And so there's rules for 2-player mode. And they're slightly different from 3-player mode and 4-player mode. So, obviously there's going to be differences if you're playing just with 2 players or 1 player. And there's even a few changes, or a few additions if you're playing with 5 players altogether as well. But that's basically the point, that this champion board is going to have other characters on here regardless of how many people are actually playing the game with you, or how many people you're playing with that you decide to play with. I played with 2 yesterday. I actually didn't go with the 2-player rules because I just don't have enough room on this table for 3 players. So I just stuck with 2 players, Axel and Cayman, and I played with them, and I didn't play the 2-player rules, and I was just pretending I was playing with 3 players, even though I was only playing with 2. But of course, normally you can't do that because that would be against the rules. But since I just don't have enough table space, that's how it had to be. I am going to try to set up for a solo game, but I've never set up for a solo game before, so we'll only set up the first part that I know you would still set up if you were playing a 3-player game, for instance. So, obviously we have the champion board, and I kind of explained how that's going to work, what you're going to do. And obviously, if you complete a challenge, which you'll see at some point, you'll be, moving your marker up on the champion board. Then, the next thing we have here is the fold, okay? So, you're going to put this out, and it's going to go over here on the left, and you're going to put the monster cards right here. So they're going to go right above here in this slot here. And one monster will basically start out on the game here at this location, and then basically at the end of each round, the monster will move down and another monster will be added. So by round 2, there will be 2 monsters to fight, okay? So that's something to note. There'll be 2. Now, we won't explain how this board actually works in this video. I think we'll probably do a separate video explaining how this works, explaining how all the worker placement stuff works in separate videos. So let's just, for now, set it aside and put it where it needs to go. All right, so it needs to go there. Then the next thing you set up is the Citadel of Time, okay? And so there's actually technically four worker placement areas that you can go. And since it is a worker placement game, only one player can go to each of these. So that means if somebody is here, then you can't go here until next round, assuming you get here before somebody else does, okay? The meditation spring, however, you'll notice it's bigger. So it can have more than one player at the same location here on the meditation spring, for instance. But basically, that's how it's going to work as in worker placement. Now, let's get out what goes here and talk about that a little bit. All right. So, these are our challenge cards. And there's 3 different, I guess, categories for challenge cards. First, we have the starting challenge. Now, there's challenge cards for the expansion, but I'm not going to talk about the challenge cards for the expansion. In fact, I don't even think I'm going to set up anything for the expansion for the game. Although, I might be tempted to add Sagashi anyways. But, the starting challenges here, everybody is going to start with some starting challenges. Okay, so let me just separate them out. There we go. So these are the starting challenges, and you'll notice that each one of these have a character on them, so you'll divvy out 3 to the different characters. Obviously, they will go towards, so Mesh Crawl here is for Cayman, for instance, and High Speed Joust is for Axel, for instance. So you'll choose 3 to give. I don't know if there's only 3 in total. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's only 3 in total, so that works perfectly. There's only 3 in total, so basically you'll just have to find which one of these goes with who, depending on who's playing, which character is playing the game. But basically, that's what these are for, and these will not go at the Citadel of Time, these starting challenges. Then we have, obviously, this huge deck of cards here, which are the challenges. And Some of these challenges, the ones that have a flame on them, are for advanced rules, are basically for experts. So you won't normally play with these unless, yeah, these right here. Yeah, that one doesn't have a flame. So these you will not play with. So these you just won't play with unless you're playing the advanced rules of the game. Okay, so they're called legendary challenges. You won't play with these legendary challenges. Not likely. Not anytime soon. If you're watching this video and you're learning how to play the game, you're probably not going to be playing with them anytime soon. But you'll be playing with these challenges, and there's quite a few of them. Now, most of the artwork is the same, pretty much, on a lot of these. But there's different names for each one of these. They're each differently named, and even though some of them might have the same symbols on them, more or less, they're pretty much different because of the fact that they're named differently anyways. So that's really cool. I liked that they did that. They could have made, several challenges, even though they look exactly the same on picture-wise. They could have made them, obviously, 2 of the same one or 3 of the same one exactly. But no, they gave them all different names. So when you're accepting a challenge, I like to, say what the challenge is. Smash the Trinite Sword. Rumble with the Frog Pack. Tight Grip. The Tight Grip Challenge. The Defend the Caravan Challenge. Walk the Lava Path Challenge. For instance. And there's so many. So many challenges. So the challenges, they're going to go here. And then you're going to deal 5. So 5 are going to get dealed out. And they're going to be face up. And they're going to be over there between the Citadel of Time and the Champion board. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And I don't really mind if they're almost exactly the same as last time. That's fine with me. I don't feel like shuffling them right now. But basically they're all about the same, I think. Well, at least 2 of them are. And then you'll put the rest of them here. And they just kind of go like that, nicely. Just like that. So, alright. So the next thing you put down is the Chronoseum. So let's take a look at that. So here's the Chronoseum. And this is one of the 3 locations that the judge may be located at. So if the judge is here, you're going to put him on his space, which is right here. Okay? Now, there's 4 different placements that you can go to. 4 worker placements. And obviously, you'll notice that these have dice on them. Most of them anyway, right? So, if you go to the Chronoseum, 2 things will happen. You will go here. You will collect whatever resource you're supposed to get by going to the Chronoseum. Okay? Then, you'll get a stunt card. So, let me pull out the stunt cards. Let me pull them out. Hold on. Alright. So here is the stunt cards. Okay. So here's the stunt cards, and they're going to do a variety of things for sure. Okay. And I'm not going to explain all the different effects, because honestly, I haven't played with all the different effects yet anyways. I've played with some of them. I gotta say, this one was fantastic. Fantastic. I loved that one. But those are the stunt cards. So when you visit the Chronoseum, you are going to get, depending on what you get, so if you stop at the guard tower, you'll get a blue dice. A blue initiate dice. If you stop at the Blade Advisor, you're going to get a red initiate dice, which is basically level 2 dice. Also, you can call it a level 2 dice. The Floating Gardens, you'll get a fruit, and you'll get a novice dice, which is basically a level 1 dice. And if you go to the Atoll of the Crab Mystics, you'll get a stunt card going there. And then because you did visit here, the Chronoseum, you're going to draw another stunt card. So if you go here, that means you're getting 2 of these stunt cards by visiting this location. So that's 2 things that's going to happen. Now, while you are there, let me grab a challenge card, or a few actually. While you are there at the Chronoseum, you can also at any time on your turn while you're at the Chronoseum, you can complete a challenge. However, you'll notice that it has this symbol here, meaning that you can't perform a challenge like this one because it isn't the same symbol as that one. But this one is, for instance, temporal symbiosis. This, I think that's how you pronounce it, symbiose. This challenge you can perform at this location. So if you have this one, meaning it's in your hand, you own it, it's your card, you went to the Citadel of Time earlier and you obtained it, you own it, it's your challenge. You can take on this challenge if you are currently here at the Chronoseum, you have your worker here. Okay? But only when you have your worker here. Okay? Will you be able to complete this challenge? So it's an option. You do not have to do it. Just because you have the dice, just because you have the dice to do it, just because you have the challenge doesn't mean you have to. But that's also why you don't have to, because maybe you don't have enough dice to complete the challenge. Okay? Now, in order to complete a challenge, you need to roll the corresponding symbols. So for this one, I need to roll 2 of these in order to complete the challenge. You'll notice this has the dotted line, though. This one is a push your style, basically. If you manage to also get this symbol, meaning you get 3 symbols of this kind, then you've pushed yourself in this challenge and you did it in style, okay? That's awesome. But what do you get? Well, you get these 3 symbols. These 3 symbols identify synergy. So you'd get to move your dial on synergy here. You'd get to move synergy up by 3 for completing this challenge. Okay, so that's how that's going to work. So obviously you're going to be looking for challenges that increases the stat you want to increase, because that's how you're going to do it. Now, if you don't manage to complete the challenge, let's say you only complete, maybe you get one dice roll and it only manages to complete one of these symbols here, one of these 2 here, for instance. Well, don't worry. You won't get to add this card to your equation. You'll be adding all the completed challenges on your player board to the corresponding areas. So, for instance, this one would go right here because that's that symbol right there. So when you complete a challenge, you'll be putting them here, okay? And they'll be giving you extra victory points at the end of the game, okay? But if you don't manage to complete the challenge, you won't be putting the card here, okay? And so you'll fail the challenge in a way. But because you did take part in the challenge, you still learned something from the challenge. And so if you were able to get at least one of the symbols here, even though you didn't complete the challenge, so if there were more symbols here that you had to acquire in order to complete, meaning you had to roll on your dice, obviously you could do more than one. But for this one, if you're only able to do one, you'll still get to increase your synergy by 1, which is still nice, right? It means it wasn't a complete waste. So if you don't have enough dice, don't let that basically scare you off from trying to complete this challenge, because you'll still get something. You'll still get a reward for trying because you learned something from the challenge, basically. So that's how that's going to work. So now you've seen the challenge cards at least a little bit, so you should kind of understand, basically how that's going to work. And you should kind of understand what going to the Chronoseum means. Now, I didn't talk about the Citadel of Time yet, so let's really quickly talk about that, okay? When you visit the Citadel of Time, you'll notice there's a few different things here. One, there's this symbol here is 3 shells. So let's bring it up so you can see better. So I can see better. So here we have, these are shells. Shells are very useful. What do shells do? You're going to need them when you take on a challenge. You're also going to need them when you face monsters. Now, we won't talk about what the shells actually do for you right now, but when we start talking about challenges in more detail, we will. But you'll go here to acquire 3 shells. Or you can go here to this worker placement area and acquire 3 fruit. And then you'll notice that there's this symbol here with 2 challenge cards with a line between them. That means you can basically take away 2 of these discard them and refresh them with 2 more challenge cards. Maybe there's some challenges up there you just don't think you'll ever use, or so maybe you can get rid of them by going here and maybe get something that you will utilize. And then if you go to this worker placement, you get to draw a challenge card, basically from the deck, right? Now that's not all that you can do here. If you go to the meditation spring, you can refresh your dice, all of them. What does that mean? Well, let's say I had 3 dice sitting on the spent dice location, and I decided to visit the meditation spring. I would get to move all of my dice from the spent dice location to the active dice location. All dice. Isn't that awesome, right? That is cool. Now, another thing I didn't mention, another reason why you want to complete challenges is when you complete a challenge and you've completed a set of challenges, meaning you've completed one of these, and one of these, you'll notice there's this little symbol here with a trophy on it and a 2. That means you'll get to basically move your character up there by 2 on the champion board. So you do want to complete challenges because that's a great way of moving up on the champion board. So that means if you get another set, meaning 2 sets of these, then you'll get to do it again. Isn't that cool? So that's what's going to happen with that. Now, let's get back to the Citadel of Time. Now, obviously, you understand what you do at these locations when you visit them. Another thing that happens while you're at the Citadel of Time is after you've done these, whichever one you've decided to go to, you'll choose or draw 2 challenge cards. So you'll either choose one of the 5 face-up challenge cards to basically add to your hand, if you will, or you'll draw 2 challenge cards, look at them, and decide which one to keep and discard the other. So that's another thing you'll get by visiting the Citadel of Time. So now I've explained how the Citadel of Time works, and I've explained how the Chronoseum works as well. So let's continue on in the next video.